Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Maritza. I'm a registered dietitian, certified diabetes educator, and exercise physiologist, and I'm here with the one and only Marianna. Hey Marianna, what's going on?
Hi, everything's good.
Everything's good?
A
That's what I
little
was.
nervous.
Don't be nervous, girlfriend. Today is all about you and how much success that you've been able to accomplish. And I wanted to take this moment just to, capture your story and really just help people understand how far that you've come and how many goals that you still have left for yourself and the improvements that's come along the way, because this journey was not easy, right? It's never going to be a perfect journey for
It's
anybody.
not easy.
No, but look at you. You're here and you're doing it and you're keeping on going and you're just chipping away at these goals as they come. And so, just Marianna, just so that everybody gets an opportunity to get to know you better, let's kind of go back to where everything started for you as far as your health and your nutrition journey. So, take us back to when you were younger. When did your struggles with weight begin for you in your life?
Pretty much my whole life, I've had a struggle with weight. I don't ever remember being considered fit, even as a young age. So it was always a challenge to go to places and always be considered as the weight person.
Got you. So that was always kind of the label that you carried with you for the majority of your life. Now, can I ask you something? Like, did they model good nutrition in the home when you were growing up?
No, nutrition wasn't really at my house at all. Pretty much I grew up where a meal was prepared, it was put on the table, and you were expected to eat it all and not really leave the table until everything was finished. So that's the type of environment I grew up with.
So actually very similar to like a lot of Americans nowadays, that's the clean your plate mentality. So it definitely sounds like your parents followed suit with that, mentality it's been passed on from our grandparents. And if you think about where our grandparents, they grew up in the Great Depression era. And so back then you were supposed to clean your plate because you didn't know when you were going to eat next. But we live in a very different society nowadays, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And so, aside from the nutrition influences from your parents, who I'm sure they loved you very much, it was just kind of like misguided love that they were showing you with the food. What other types of factors contributed to, you accumulating excess weight as you grew up?
Um, I mean, at a point it becomes your responsibility. So I would be overstressed. I would turn to the wrong foods. Or social settings and not know how to necessarily act in the right way and make wise decisions for myself.
Okay. And so you said that part of it was stress. And so, like what type of stress have you dealt with that kind of like drove you for using food as a comfort?
A lot of times my work stress is my biggest thing that causes me to make unhealthy choices nowadays. Growing up, I'm not sure, like the stress of school and like doing all the making sure everything was done on time. It was always, I never felt like there was enough time to complete um, everything that was required to complete. So I would always be trying to complete it as I was snacking on something. And, you know, food was always easily available and not necessarily the right things to be eating on.
Okay. And that's a really similar trap that we fall into. Like when I was a kid, I was left unattended a lot. And like you're right, you get home, you've got a ton of homework to do. You break open the bag of Doritos and like it's just mindless eating. And a lot of us fall into that same exact trap that you have. Now, as you were growing up, right, what other things kind of contributed? Because you said that you've been at a heavier weight all of your life, but when you were as a teen, like were there any type of like body images issues that showed up in your life? Were there any instances of bullying, or what else kind of drove you to use food more and more as a comfort as you became an adult?
I think that for me, food was like always a comfort just because both of my parents were overweight, and it's how I saw them cope with different life stresses. And I just kind of followed suit because, we live in a world where we see and we do. So it's like I just kind of copied a lot of their behaviors as I was growing up.
Yeah, you're right. It is truly monkey see, monkey do out there. And, I know it with my teenager. Like if I know I'm acting one way, he's probably going to mirror me. Or if I'm being messy and disorganized, you're right, he's going to mirror me exactly. So that makes a lot of sense when that's your only, I guess, window of normal in your life. You're not expected to, stray much outside of it. How did your body image issues, how did that impact you as like a teen and a young adult?
I mean, for me, like I had a hard time with feeling accepted because I just wasn't a part of that crew. It's like I had a couple of friends and I was only at that table. Like I didn't know how to go out and be able to talk to other people, and because it's like I felt like I was always looked down upon. So I had very few friends, but they were good friends.
And so what are some of the ways that you felt like you felt that weight bias towards you? Can you give us a couple examples that kind of stick out to you in your head?
A lot of times, like I remember when I was playing softball, I couldn't wear the uniform that the rest of my team was wearing because the school didn't provide it in that size. So they got me a uniform, but it was different than everyone else's because they couldn't get the same as the other teams in my size, as the other girls. And then also that happened in softball and in swimming when I was on the swim team. My swimsuit was different because I needed a bigger size. And it wasn't provided in that size that everyone else had.
And so, I mean, there's the obvious, like you wake up every day and you understand that there are obviously some differences with the way that you're growing up versus some of the other girls. Like, were there any direct, like, were there any direct actions or like words said to you that kind of like made that gap feel even bigger for you?
Not really, because I didn't socialize with people. Like you may hear them talk in the background and stuff, but I would stay away from them. I stuck with my table, my friends, we were like, that's all I communicated with. Like I didn't want to talk with anyone else.
Okay. So just kind of like, isolating yourself and, not necessarily, do you feel like you fully lived those years in your teen and your young adult years because of this issue?
Probably not. I mean, if I could go back, there's definitely things I would have liked to have done differently.
Okay. And I appreciate the honesty. And I think in retrospect, a lot of us can say that, woulda, coulda, shoulda, can come out a lot. But as far as, any other kind of like weight stigma, like I know that, you had a pregnancy and you've dealt with the medical community. Like, have you felt weight stigma in any other places aside from like directly the social aspect in talking with other people?
Well, when I was pregnant with Drake, I would always, the doctor was always concerned about the weight. They're like, you have to do things differently because of your weight. So it was very scary going through the pregnancy because they put a lot of emphasis on the weight, like the whole pregnancy. So that was always scary. And I didn't gain any weight during Drake's pregnancy. So then I would begin told that this ain't no time for dieting and you're not eating enough, but then you're getting yelled at about your weight too. Like, and so it's like you didn't know what was right, what was wrong. I wasn't dieting at all during that time. I was eating a lot more than ever, but it's like I couldn't get them to understand.
So you feel like, going into a pregnancy with that weight, it kind of like, it puts you in a conflicting spot with your medical provider. Do you feel like they passed any just like assumptions or judgments on you as a result?
Probably so. I mean, even still today, I still get, even though I've made so much progress in my journey, it's like when someone that don't know me and don't know the journey I've been through, you still get those looks. And it's just like, to me, I've had it my whole life. So I just, it bothers me, but I try and not let it bother me.
Good, I'm glad. And you're most certainly growing as a person, and just all the growth that you've accomplished over the past year. It really warms my heart to know that, that growth is impacting you in so many different areas of your life, especially in your confidence when you're, dealing with the world at large. So when we first met, you had actually been at your highest adult weight. How much did you weigh when we had first met?
457.3 pounds.
Oh, okay. So you remember it down to the 0.3 pounds. And so how did your overall lifestyle habits look prior to our first meeting?
Yes. Wake up there. I didn't hear the question.
Oh, it's okay. It looks like we our connection broke up. No, absolutely. I was saying, when we first met, what did your overall lifestyle habits look like?
I had none. I was a couch potato mom. I went to work. I went through fast food restaurant lines for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. I didn't do any cooking at the house. I had nothing. I came home, I sat on the couch, I watched TV. That was my life.
So do you feel like you were living, or were you just kind of existing at that point?
I was definitely only existing. It was very hard because I do have a young son, and I really struggled to do anything with him. I mean, I was exhausted after work and would just want to come home and sit down, and really didn't do anything at that weight with him. It was too difficult.
And as far as the turning point, like for you, what was the turning point where you just said, this is enough, I can't live this way? Like, was there an event or a particular, conversation with somebody that got you to move in a certain direction from where you were at?
Well, I was always wanting to move from the point where I was at. I tried many different things, but I never found the thing that worked the best for me. I wanted to do the Biggest Loser before. I even auditioned for it. And when I didn't get selected, it really hurt me inside because I was at the audition and I see everyone there. There's a lot of people there. But I was the biggest one there. And it's like, how could they not want to pick someone that needed the help the most? Not that I need it the most. Everyone needs the help, but for different reasons. Mm-hmm. But if I didn't do something, I wouldn't be here today. I would have died. I I was miserable. And so it was very difficult.
Now, and I'm sure that going into that, you have a lot of expectation and hopes and, that feeling of being turned away from a program that is supposed to serve people like yourself. I know that must have been heartbreaking. What other types of, I guess, solutions did you attempt before our first meeting as far as reducing your weight over the years?
I had tried Jenny Craig. I've tried the Weight Watchers. I tried Nutrisystem. I tried protein shakes. I went to the doctor through the hospital. I was only getting only shakes, and only having like 800 calories worth of shakes 5 times a day.
Wow.
That was very rough.
And you're very tall, so I'm shocked that they would feed somebody of your height only 800 calories a day. And unfortunately, you're not the first person to tell me something like that. Aside from the meal replacement shakes, was there any other medical intervention that you had tried, or they were like trying to convince you to pursue?
I did try to go to like Jory's weight loss, but I was turned down because of my weight. I did try and go to a couple other like gyms to try and do it on my own type of thing. But again, because of the size I was too much of a risk for them. They didn't want to take me as like a client.
And that breaks my heart that somebody would tell you, because it's just like, the Biggest Loser, door shut, trying these commercial weight loss systems, door shut after you see it doesn't work. And then, you say you tried to actually go into a fitness center and door shut. And so what was like the thought on your mind after going to all these different places and finding things that don't work for you and finding people who are saying no to you? Like what was on your mind at that point?
Honestly, I thought I was like a lost cause. I had to figure it out on my own, or no one would ever help me. However, I was very lucky playing on Facebook one night, and I came across an ad, and I found a place that really saved my life.
Oh, that's so sweet of you to say that. And, and I tell you people all the time, we provide the guidance, we provide the framework, but honestly, Marianna, you're showing up and you're doing the work and you're working on that mindset. And so I honestly am very thankful that you chose us to be able to help you. Before you had met us, like, how would you have described your relationship with food?
I really didn't have a relationship. It was just something I had to do. We all need to eat, and I didn't have a relationship. I wanted everything, and I ate everything. I didn't measure anything out. I just loaded the plate with. I had no idea of like how much you should eat of anything. I had no knowledge. So I ate what I liked.
Okay. And so I remember when you first talked to us, you would refer to the episodes where you would eat large amount of foods as binges, right? And
Yes.
you shared with me a very, very interesting story about when you and your son were sharing a meal, and he had mentioned something. Would you mind sharing that story with everybody? Because I know that you said that incident right there really planted a deep seed in you that something had to change.
Yes, I remember that's the exact night that I found I know what you're talking about. So we were eating dinner as a family, my mom, my son, and myself, and I was eating, and I made a comment out loud that I was full, and but I put more food on my plate, and I was still continuing to eat. And my son, he was, I think, like 7 years old at the time, like but mommy, you just said you're full. It's okay to stop eating. And it just really caught my attention that day because I would just eat and not realize, that I was full. Even though I'm saying I was full, I was still eating and I wouldn't stop. And
So
so that night was a very big wake up call for me that change really did need to occur.
yeah, and that's a huge revelation right there, because we all know that children, they're so innocent and they are so unforgivably honest with us, right? And so, I'm glad
Yes.
that, those words came out of his mouth, because the next thing we are in contact for the first time. And so up to this point, you had tried numerous things. So we'll say 5 to 10 different things. How long were you able to consistently stick with each approach that you previously tried before you just kind of give up?
I never had long success with anything. I think the longest success I had was with that meal replacement shake with only 100 calories. I think I did that for 2.5 months, but I really didn't have huge weight loss with it, which was very surprising because I followed their plan to the T, and even the doctor was shocked that I wasn't losing that much weight.
And I've seen things like that in the past. I've seen things where, people have been swinging from, directions of, binging and eating too much and definitely of the wrong things. And they have wild extremes where they'll swing to not eating enough, which really puts you at risk for running to an emotional situation or running into just a challenging situation. And then if food has always been your comfort and your go-to, then habits just continuously repeat themselves. And so I'm glad that we met and that you were able to get off of that roller coaster. How did you feel physically and mentally, emotionally when you had tried each of those prior approaches?
I felt like a failure because I see other people have success doing these programs and I struggle. And it was very hard for me because I wanted to be that successful person too. I wanted to be that success story, and maybe they work for other people, but it just wasn't the solution for me.
I hear you there. I hear you. It wasn't the solution for me either. I tried almost everything that you had mentioned earlier. And so when we did get an opportunity to meet, what was your first impression of the team and I?
I was very happy because the team sat down and listened to me. I was a person, and even though I was 457 pounds, I wasn't turned away. I was accepted. The very first time we had met, we spent over an hour with each other, and I'm like, they actually care. I'm like, so I felt very welcomed.
That makes me smile to hear that, because when I first met, I do remember a lot of emotions being shared. And if I remember correctly, there were some tears shed that day when we were talking about a lot of the stuff that you had been through up until that point. When we first started talking about the nutrition and you told me some of the approaches that you had used, I had mentioned to you that you were going to eat much, much more in my program. What was your first thought when I told you that you're going to be eating much more than 800 to 1200 calories per day?
I thought you were crazy and didn't know what you were talking about.
Well, thank goodness I wasn't crazy, huh? And
No, even now, a little over a year of, pretty much following the program. When I'm eating out with family or whatever, they look at me like I'm crazy because they see my plate of food and they see their plate of food and they're like, it's like double my plate. I'm like, but I'm losing weight.
Right. And you're making very, very consistent progress. And so in order to like, I guess, let go and allow coaches into your life to really explain to you how things are done and why we're doing things, like what type of an emotional process does it take for a grown woman to let go and allow other people into her life?
It's a challenge. I've gotten much better with it, especially as I get to know the team. But at first, it was hard. But I came there with the mind frame that my life is on the line. If I don't do something, I knew I wouldn't be sitting here today. I there was misery, and I had to let people in and it's the best thing that I've done for myself. So
I'm glad. I'm glad. And so, I always tell people that this journey is not always about weight, even though for the clients that, come to us, weight is a major goal for them. You have so far been able to lose 120 pounds, right?
yeah,
And I know that that does make you happy, right? I know that it is
of
part of the
course.
long-term goal. Um, Aside from the actual weight on the scale changing, what other type of physical transformations are you experiencing?
Well, my clothes are a lot smaller. I was very happy a few months ago. I finally packed up my 5Xs, and it's like I don't want to see them anymore. I got rid of them, but when I packed up my smaller clothes like 10 years ago, I couldn't get rid of it. I wanted to know that I would wear them again. So I had all those clothes, and right now it feels real good because I'm able to get into some of those clothes again and
Yay!
making progress.
That's
I still
amazing.
have a lot more that I want to accomplish. But like you said, with the mindset and everything, it's just the way you look at life is so much different when you're not. It's like I'm not only focusing on my nutrition, I'm focusing on everything. And it's just, I feel like I've grown and learned so much over the course of the year. And I just hope that my story could help others. It's not impossible.
No, no, it's not impossible. And I asked you for a big favor the day we met. I asked you to, take our hand and extend that trust, which I know was incredibly hard. And yes, we are getting you healthier and happier. As far as like the non-scale victories, right? So what type of non-scale victories are you, achieving and experiencing as a result of participating in the program?
Mm, non-scale, like I just feel that I have a clear mind, and I'm able to look at life in different eyes than I ever have before.
Yeah, you shared with me the other day that for the first time in a long time, you've even contemplated, giving your son a sibling. And so, how does it feel to have that option open in your mind again? Because I know for a while, due to some irregularities with your body, that door was slammed, shut.
Yeah, I really like the opportunity to be able to think that way again, and having my body feel like I could handle it if it ever happens. Um, it's a blessing.
That's awesome. And so, how has improving the way that you care about yourself, how has that impacted like your experiences at work, your experiences with just the general public? Like, how has that changed?
people who I've worked with like from the beginning and who has seen the progress, they are just overall amazed. A couple people have, I need to do what you're doing. What's the quick fix? I'm like, it's not a quick fix. It's a lifetime fix. And just getting to talk with people, and it's like people want to hear what I have to say now. It's not like when I was 457 pounds, it's like I felt like no one wanted to know anything. I was isolated, like you said, and it's now I made a lot of progress in my journey, and people want to know what to do so they could have the same feeling of success.
Yeah, so it's like you can't be ignored. You're forcing the world to pay attention to you, because it's really hard to miss the fact that somebody has removed 120 pounds of weight from their body and is eating well and has much more self-control. And so as far as, participation in the program, like how does this change your long-term outlook in life?
It really makes me realize that there's no short fix. It's not fixed, it's ongoing. We have to continue to grow and nourish the body the correct way forever. It's not going to just be like follow this program for 2 weeks and you're done, you're fixed. You have to really dig into your head and focus on the bigger picture.
Yeah. And I love the way you put that, how you say that it's in your mind, it's the mindset that you've been working on all along, because a lot of people, they do want to know, okay, well, what do I eat? What don't I eat? How much do I eat? When can I eat? So everybody's focused on all these external factors, when in reality, the solution is right here. It's right between those ears. It's been there all along. We just had to nurture it and really figure out what are our needs? What do we want out of our life? Because until we get that clarity, nothing more can come. And so as a busy, single, working professional mom, what have you now learned about yourself as a result of joining the program?
I learned that I could do it. I've managed to keep 100 plus pounds off my body. I've had rough spots or patches, but I don't let it's not my story. I put it to end. I fight for what makes me feel good about myself. And I just love that now I'm able to do so much with my son. I'm not that couch potato mom. We're out here every weekend doing something fun, going to splash pads and, entertaining him and getting to see him grow. It's an amazing feeling.
Oh, girl, you're going to make me cry. Stop it.
I've teared up a couple times over here.
And so as far as, the way that you interact with your son, so you say that you are a much better mom than you were previously in the state that you were before you met us. How has this changed the way that Drake looks at you and Drake interacts with you?
I remember when he loves it. He's my little water boy. He comes to my workouts on the weekend, and he is a constant reminder as to why I need to do this for myself and for him. I remember when I first lost the 100 pounds, I came home to like a celebration, and it was amazing when he hugged me and he's like, "Mommy, this is the first time my hands could fit all the way around you." And it was just so amazing, and he always asks me even now, "When do we get to do the next celebration, Mommy?" And it's like he's very much in tune with this journey and seeing the progress. And my hope as a mom is that since he's seen how hard we're going through this journey, I hope that he never has to feel this journey on my end as a 457-pound person. I just hope that, I'm giving him the tools and he's seeing the proper way to do it now while he's young, so he shouldn't have to experience it from the other side.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that our biggest responsibility as parents is to set our children on the right path. And like, you were saying earlier, your parents didn't exactly set up the right path for you. And of course, we know a lot more about nutrition and about, good and bad influences as far as health. And so he never has to experience that. He never has to worry about the medical conditions that run in your family. And he truly is a very, very healthy child. But what I love about the way you interact with him is that although you are showing him a healthier way of life, you're not taking away, any part of his childhood. He's enjoying life and treats and everything just like every other child. And you're truly teaching him how things look like in moderation. And I think that that is just an amazing accomplishment. Above all else, just knowing that you're passing on a new generation of health going forward with your son. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I really like that. And Drake is not being raised with the clean your plate mentality. If he's full, he stops, and he gets to eat a wide range of food and know that no matter what you eat, it's okay.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a bad food.
Exactly. And that is the hugest distinction, I think. And I can't remember which other client said it, but another client said it well as, he's like, I realized that we can eat whatever we want whenever we want. It's just that I so happen to choose to eat a certain way the majority of the time because that's what makes me feel good. And so I love that distinction that you shared with everybody. There is no true evil food. It's just our abuse of the food that is the less than optimal behavior. And so I'm glad that you are able to share that with, everybody who's viewing this interview today. What would you say to another busy professional mom who's also been struggling with issues of food and weight and who's kind of like on the fence about joining a program that has coaches and that is more intensive and guided? What would you say to her?
I'd say believe in yourself. It's possible. If you really want it, there's a room full of people that is willing to help you through the process of really getting to learn yourself and grow. You really could do it.
Awesome.
It really helps to have that good guidance, good way of finding support.
Yeah, and you're really, really active on our private Facebook group, our support group. How does that change the journey? Having, a whole, I guess, cheerleading squad of other people just like you on the same path. Like, how does it change your experience versus, the last ways that you were doing weight loss on your own?
It's very helpful. Days when, if I'm having a hard day, I always reach out and look on my page to see what's going on, and sometimes it helps to be able to pull you right back right away to know that you have this community of support. And a lot of times, like I know me personally, if I remember one time I had where I had a challenging couple of weeks, and I put a video out there, and instantly I had members and coaches getting me back on track. And it's just the way that we use our social media to help us. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love that, being able to get the community aspect. And you can do it from home or from work, and just that interconnectedness, it is really, really important. And so thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And I know that you're not done. I know that you have a lot more goals. And now that the relationship with food is getting better, it's mostly mindset right now, and I know that's really your strength right now that we're working on to continue to evolve and develop over time. But I can't say it enough, like how incredibly proud of you, me and the coaches are, especially because of where you come. There's sometimes I meet people and they have this beautiful weight loss story, but the way they present it to the world, it's almost like very boastful, like almost very self-righteous, right? And so what I love about you is, you do share your story with the world, but you share it from a very humble place. You share it from a very inspirational place. And, the fact that you have lived life with judgment and bias and people telling you what you couldn't do, and yet you're here having done it and still doing it, like, it just touches my heart to know that you allowed me and the coaches to be part of that. And so I really, really thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey and allowing us to continue to guide you in the future.
Honestly, the coaches and staff there is the best thing that ever happened to me and for my son. You guys gave me my life back.
Oh, okay, now I am going to go cry. Thank you so much for spending some time this afternoon with me, Marianna. And I know you got to go because your son's waiting for you. But, I hope that your message just does resonate with somebody, because there are people out there, and because of how far their journey is, they feel the same self-doubt that you did. And I tell people all the time, there's some of us who have journeys that looks like a very steep climb up a hill. And then some of us who our journeys feel like we have to scale a couple mountains with a canyon thrown in the middle. And so out of almost anybody that I've ever worked with, I think I have the utmost respect for you, because your journey was something that none of us can ever come close to having to experience. Even me, I'm 115 pounds down, but that was it. That was my journey. So as much as I can relate to you, I can never completely understand your journey. So the more you share with me, the more you teach me as a professional. And again, for that experience, I thank you so much, because I am a better professional because of you. And so thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for what you're going to continue to teach the world and your family and everybody that you interact with. You are most definitely a bright, shining star, and I look forward to seeing what you're able to do.
I just want everyone to know that if you believe in yourself, good things will happen.
Darn right, darn right. And you hold on to that mentality, and you and I will speak very soon.
All right. Thank you.
Of course.